got it. We're not working hard enough.
But we need teachers to get out of the mantra of putting everyone else before themselves.
But then again, why should school money be going on that?
You can have your pay rise, but we'll have to get rid of your TA.
You're the cloakroom monitor and you are the empty the bucket monitor.
Hey, welcome back to Say You Look Tired. Me, Martin, and my co-host, Dan.
Hello.
On this episode, it'll be interesting because we're going to talk a little bit about teacher martyrs and we're going to talk about the teacher pay rise. But we may be out of date with it because it is today, like the 23rd of May. I'm going to guess it'll be about June, July when we publish
and
this one.
And the current ed sec is, what's her name again? Maggie or something? I don't know. I've forgotten.
Bridget
Nielsen.
Isn't it?
Jones.
I've got no idea.
Bridget someone. Hey, Bridge.
They changed that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, what is it? We're talking about the pay rise.
Mm-hmm.
At time standing, although it may change, they've offered 4%, 3% is going to be funded. And I think we're going to have a different take to most on it because I've seen a lot online and it always grinds my gears because it's all the talk is all about whether it's funded or not. And they're going to fund 3% of it and schools have got to find 1%. And there's always talk. And I know it's going to be extremely hard for schools. I know there's going to be budget cuts. I know they're going to not replace teachers that are retiring, people's contracts who are up, and it's going to be a real struggle. But I hate when they talk about funded and underfunded. I don't hear about it in any other job. I don't hear about it with nurses, with paramedics, with doctors. I don't hear about it with train drivers. I don't hear about it with anything. I know they get flack for wanting a pay rise, which is weird because the whole country comes together to moan when anyone wants more money, when it's cost of living's going up, everyone needs more money. There was 10 years when teachers, nurses, doctors, everyone else in the civil service didn't take a pay rise. Mm-hmm. I got a 1% pay rise while I was teaching. Not each year, in the whole thing. There was 1%, which is mad.
And when we started off teaching, we did not get what they get now. When you start teaching.
Do you know what though? Even that though, doesn't matter.
No, I know, yeah.
Yeah, it doesn't matter. It's mad that there was 1%. And finally, they're starting to have those pay rises. They're still not enough. They're still not where they should be for the cost of living. But we need teachers to get out of the mantra of putting everyone else before themselves because it doesn't happen in other professions. They don't have, they're going to offer them this, but they're going to have to find a budget. Tough. Do you know what? It should be, unions shouldn't even talk about whether it's funded or not. Mm-hmm. Unions should go to bat and say, we're getting it fully funded and that's it. And we're getting the 4% or we're getting 5% or we're getting 6%, what they want. You know, they are going to say, they're saying, we're going to put 615 million towards it, which sounds like a big number. 615 million towards teachers' pay for next year. They spent 37 billion on a track and trace app during COVID, which was a failure. They didn't use and could have probably funded everyone in the civil service for 10 years without batting an eye with the pay raises that they wanted. Yeah, we've got teachers who are, and I might get some flack for this, absolute martyrs who come to the table and go, do you know what? I don't need a pay rise as long as they fund schools properly. Well, do you know what? They're not funding schools properly anyway. No. So take your pay rise and force them to start paying properly. Take a stand and say, do you know what? We're going on strike. Do you know what? We're going to work the hours that we're supposed to. We're not going to do anything extra. We're going to say no to stuff. We're going to show the world how much we paper over the cracks, not carry on doing it for the kids while being fed scraps. Mm-hmm. Because they use this funded versus not funded to force your hand into accepting lower pay. It should be scrapped. Unions should stop talking about funded versus underfunded. Every time it's brought up, unions should say, we're not here to talk about this. We're here to talk about how much teachers are going to get paid, because it is all just a joke saying funded or underfunded. It should not matter to a teacher. That is big rant.
There you go. I love that, Martin. I can see it in your eyes. Like,
I just get fed up with it.
I was made to feel bad by certain people for taking my strike days last year. But I was like, I'm sick and tired of this. You know, because we had just went through all the COVID thing about how we're lazy, we don't work hard enough. And it's always, I know other jobs might get it, but I felt like we really got it. That we're not working hard enough.
Do you know what it is? It's two things I think why teachers get such flack. The first is every single person has been in school for 20 years as like a pupil. Well, 18 years as a pupil. So they think they know. They think they know the ins and outs. They don't see the rest of it. They think they know the ins and outs. And the second one is, as for every person where they've had a teacher that's inspired them, they've also had a teacher that they absolutely hate and had a grudge against them. And then when this all comes out, it only takes someone to say, do you know what? They're lazy. And they will go, yeah, they are, because they think instantly of that teacher that they hate. And then they just think about that and they go in on it. And they talk about it. You would never hear someone in the Houses of Parliament, you'd never hear an MP get up and say, the doctors have been saying that we should use this medicine, but you know what? I've been having a think about it and I think we should use this medicine instead. Yeah. Never happen. But yet you want to talk about reading, you want to talk about times tables, you want to talk about anything to do with education. Every one of them's got an opinion and they're willing to get up and say it. Teachers should be doing this. Teachers should be doing that. Teachers should be teaching kids to brush their teeth.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. That's something they tried to bring into my school I was in the last few years. And I was like, absolutely not. I know there's some people out there who do. So I did post about it and I got some flack. Do you not care about the children? And I had to not reply to that. It took a lot of strength. I was like, how dare you? I'm in there every single day, giving it my all. I will teach them. I shall care like no tomorrow, Mr. Mac. But I'm not brushing their teeth after lunch.
At the end of the day, you're actually, by including that stuff, you are giving a disservice to the children. Because in year 5, where I taught, it's gonna take probably 20 minutes off the school day. You'd have to do it in the morning when you come in. Maybe they'd expect it after lunch and they'd have to do it at the end of the school day. Maybe tops 30 minutes, probably more like 20.
I've been to school where they did it. They spit into a bowl.
But reception, that is going to take probably a quarter of your day to get all them to brush their teeth. Mm-hmm. Or you take one adult away and take them one at a time or in little groups. Mm-hmm. You know, it'd be the same as a phonics lesson.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
For something which it is an important life skill. Mm-hmm. Well, is it a skill? Like,
it's part of your basic hygiene. Like I told my mum about this and she was like, I would have been mortified if I thought that the school had to take responsibility for your brushing your teeth. And I was like, absolutely. And I know there are families out there who absolutely are getting it tough, getting it hard, but you can still get some toothpaste, even if we just supplied it. But then again, why should school money be going on that?
Yeah, to me, it's a tough one in that sense. But
I even feel really bad for what I just said, but I'm just being truthful.
Yeah, well, the thing is, we've talked about schools don't have enough budget.
No, that's why teachers are buying stuff themselves.
That's why teachers are buying stuff themselves. It's why you have all these conversations about funders versus underfunders when it comes to the pay things. And it should just be, do you know what? It should just be wording things better to the wider like public, to be like, not teachers are being greedy, but literally being like, your child is getting a disservice because they are not getting what they're supposed to get. We've got schools where they've got to count how much you photocopy. We've got schools where like you've got to share computers. You've got schools where like textbooks, like I know with one, we didn't have the budget to buy the textbooks. So we bought one and then would photocopy what like the page that they needed to use that day. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
Stuff like that. We had one where it was, they had a textbook, which was meant to be their working book. So they would work through and had all these things, and they would share it one between two and never write in it. They'd write just in a exercise book so that we could recycle it every year. Do you know, because the funding isn't there. But yeah, at the same time, so much gets spent on just rubbish. Like so much gets spent on rubbish, which is wasted at the top level, rather than unions going to bat and saying, we need this, we need that, we need this, you're doing this. It's just almost like it's all done in secret. It's all done in closed shop. Unions need to take more action and speak about it. Teachers need to stop being martyrs. And I know not every teacher is, but there is a hell of a lot who are being martyrs. No teacher should utter the words, I don't need my pay rise. Because if you say that, they're not going to give you a pay rise.
Yeah.
If you get enough people believing that, you're not going to get a pay rise. And guess what? Doesn't mean they're going to fund the schools. It just means they're not going to give you a pay rise. Do you know?
Which you deserve for all the hard work you do. You know, I remember the last time they were going on about the pay rises, and a colleague said to me, well, you know, if you get it done, you might not get your TA. I was like, but they deserve their money as well. So why should you make me feel bad about it? Like, I want them. Oh my goodness, 100%. I love them. I love them to get their pay rise.
They get a worse pay deal than anyone.
Absolutely. For all the work they're doing. And so, do you know, there are some schools they expect their TAs to do an after school club for free.
That's mad.
For free. And there's one woman I know, ex-colleague, I'm not going to say which school it was, who used to run like a Play-Doh club. Guess who bought the ingredients? She did. Oh, I don't mind. No, I do. I was like 100. I was like, flyer and all that stuff costs money, which is yours that you've earned through the job that's underfunded anyway by the government.
And I don't know whether they do this like in Leicester, but there's a couple of ones. So I know Halton used to do it. Schools in Halton. I don't know about Liverpool. They might, but there's sometimes a little trick with TA's wages. Don't know whether you've seen that. Where, you know, when they're advertising it, they will advertise the wage that it should be if it was a 52 week pay. So like teachers, TAs only get paid for the weeks that they're in school, and then it gets spread out. But they will advertise it as if they were paid for every week. So they will say, you know, TA, teaching assistant job here, it's a 19 or a 20 grand a year salary. But that is if it was 52 weeks, and it's actually only a 12 grand salary because you only get paid for the 38 that you're in. And then that obviously gets spread out. So you only get £1,000 a month, but everyone thinks that you're on close to 2. Do you know? And
I didn't know that.
Yeah, some ones do that. And what gets me is TAs are massively underpaid. TAs deserve a lot more respect and a lot more talking about. And like, I'm pretty sure they're not in unions, are they? Like, they don't have a TA union.
I think there is one. There was a union visit last year at school. I think this is the only reason why I know. And she had like lanyards that I wanted because they were nice and colourful. And I think she could have been. I think she could have been a TA. Maybe I'm imagining this.
I think one of the big struggles is they don't have that voice from it. But what really gets me is it's all used to like hit on it. And one thing I will say, love TAs, be a voice for them as well. But I can't stand when I do a teacher post and a TA will comment and say, what about TAs? And you're like, one, I actually class teachers and TAs together when I'm speaking about stuff, when I'm speaking about the mental health stress. Just sounds a bit ridiculous when I'm putting teachers, TAs, heads, SLT, admin, like teachers, anyone in school, let's imagine that they're in that.
Yeah,
When say
I always call when I'm in my classroom, boys and girls, say we're both teachers.
Yeah. But what I hate is that almost in fighting that gets almost put in like that. You can have your pay rise, but we'll have to get rid of your TA. Nah, that's not the choice, I'm afraid.
Mm-hmm.
Like that's not the choice. It should be strong unions saying, no, that's not what we're doing here. Because that's the big one. And it should be teachers being strong and unions being strong and always being like, that's not the conversation. We're getting this, we're getting it fully funded, and it's not going to impact that. When they say, well, no, we're getting this, and it's not impacting that. Well, I think you're living it. No, we're getting this, and it's not impacting that. It shouldn't be, well, you've got to make this compromise. Why have we got to make that compromise? Oh, because it's not in the budget. Who set the budget? Oh, we did. Okay, well, set a different budget. Do you know, to say 37 billion.
That's crazy money.
When on an app for track and trace, which they didn't need to make because Europe already had one and said you could use it for like 100 million. And they said, no, we're going to make our own. It never worked. It was never properly used. It cost 37 billion.
Was that the one that pinged us? The ping-demic? Do you remember?
I can't remember. But it never worked.
No.
37 billion.
People switched it off.
Right. But that's ignored. It's like, don't worry about that. It's like they found that pretty quick. But we're getting told they can only find 600 million for teachers' wages. And even that'll be a bit of a push and you've got to pay some. No. Like, go find it from the place that you found that. Because there is no problem when they need more defense. There is no thing when they need to look at like the MP wages. That's done by an independent person, you know, and it's all done. It should just be, no, we're going for this, and that's that. And I think it should be creative strikes. It should be unions talking more. I'd love to have someone from a union on here. Literally someone from the union officers who knows everything and to talk through everything, because I don't think teachers know enough. I think unions do a great job, but don't speak about it enough. Don't talk about the impact. Don't talk about the budgets. Don't talk about the understanding. And then teachers get guilted into it, guilted into saying yes. Them last strikes, teachers should have stuck even firmer, but they didn't because it was impacting schools and they were annoying the parents.
I think in the end, there was only 2 of us that went on strike in my school. I was like, oh. And like at the time I was like, no, because my head teacher was like, I can't ask you if you're going on strike or not. And I was like, I'm not going to say. But obviously, like I was like, I'm going on strike.
That should be another thing.
And my class was covered anyway.
It shouldn't be a thing. Well, that shouldn't have been allowed.
No, I know.
It's not allowed.
Because it was, it was the end few, what do you call it, strike days. And that, I think I told you before this, I bumped into a parent in the gym. Hi, what are you doing here? I'm at the gym. I'm on strike. But like, we're underfunded enough. And when you're talking there, I was remembering like, I was at one point a teacher martyr. And look what it did to me. But then there was so many bits of it. And money was the thing where I would spend my own money on my classroom because I didn't have the things that I needed to teach. So I remember one time I was told that my pencil pots weren't good enough. Because I had Bisto pots I'd wrapped in sugar paper. I had no money. I was starting out. I pay all my own bills, blah, blah, blah. I remember I felt really bad. I went to the Poundland, wherever it was, and bought like gardening pots, like the metal ones. Yeah. But meant, well done.
But and then that became a thing. As well. Imagine, like, don't get me wrong. I think every teacher at some point has been guilty about buying their own stuff for the classroom. My guilty one used to be each half term, I would buy a DVD movie of a movie I wanted to watch, and then I would just put it on for the kids. So mine was always the one. Everyone always had them pound DVDs that they put on for the kids.
Oh, yeah.
Mine were always like the latest movie out. But that's
a good one that you can reuse. My pencil pots are now sitting in a basket in my loft.
But everyone's been guilty of it. But that idea of like, there has been a comment on your lesson observation that your equipment isn't
looks
good
scruffy.
enough.
Looks scruffy. And like, because at that point, I was like, I'm not, like, the lesson was great, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And I took that so personally. And I will never forget that I had to laminate resources that I needed for lesson observation. And I remember saying, but we've got no laminates left. And I had hardly any money. Well, you better find them from somewhere. And I went and bought them. And I remember I was eating pasta and mayo anyway. And I was like, I've got nothing left. I walked home the 4 miles from work because I couldn't afford the bus.
That's mad.
So I could use those. This was the days of coins. So I could use my money to go to the pound shop to buy laminating pouches to use in the laminator that I bought myself at home, and the electricity I'm using at home to laminate these things for work because we had no laminating sheets left. And I had to buy that myself. And then in a previous podcast, I was talking about how it was in my lesson observation. Oh, would it have troubled you to have bought some daffodils? I mean, I did. You just missed that part of the lesson. Again, my money. And like when the things like, I don't mind buying things. Well, I do now when I look back, like Play-Doh mix, flour and all that. I used to buy it and keep it on the cupboards. But that adds up. And I know I'm only talking about a few pound here and there. But when there's months now when I'm like, I could maybe do with that.
Yeah.
No, don't have it.
I know. It's not like anyone can spend whatever they want in the classroom.
Yeah. You.
But I think it's mad, the idea that like they were telling you that's where your lesson was falling down. That's the equivalent of like them stepping in dog muck, walking into your room and then going, your lesson was great. There's all dog muck all over the floor. like that's their responsibility.
Mm-hmm.
And like, obviously you would have been in that place where I've been myself, where you start out where you don't want to question anything. Where like,
I'm scared to question anything.
yeah, where I know now, like if that was me, now I would go, oh great, buy me some new pots then. Like,
yeah. Do you know how far I took it? So that's when it started. This is how far it got. My friends and I went on a trip to IKEA to get stuff.
I know
for the classroom.
The stuff in IKEA.
And I went in, I got if you're listening to this and you've got it, take a sip of Sambuca. Right. And unless you're at work. Well, the paper roll dispenser, check. New pots, check. Wicker baskets, check. Like they're lovely little stumpy crayons, check. Drapes, check. What else? Garden and trellis from Wilkinson's, R.I.P. Wilkinson's. Check for the classroom. Guess where all is now? At home in my iron cupboard. Because I know I've got it at home now. I know I've got the stuff now, but I remember like that's when I overdid it. And it got to the point where I looked around the classroom one day when I was leaving my first school, when I was gutting the room, taking everything with me, and there was nothing left. It was all my stuff I took with me. Even like I took little green baskets, everything. They were like, what are you taking them for? I earned this money. I'm taking it with me. It was crazy. Like I would not do that now. And to be fair, the last school I was in, you could hand in your receipts to claim back because Gems, she was amazing at that. She'd get receipt in. And I remember one time putting a receipt in for like £1 something, just for a laugh. I can't remember what it was, oil or something to make the Play-Doh. Dan, this is just £1.50. Yeah, well, you said I could claim it back.
It's just mad though. I wonder what makes it that way though, because it is just accepted, isn't it? With it all, like buying stuff for your classroom, putting the kids first.
Is it because it's children?
Yeah, I wonder. Is it that? Is it as well because I don't believe this, but I think teaching is seen as not a proper job.
I've had people say that to me. And it really angers me.
And that's not my words of saying teaching's not a proper job. I've done it myself. No exhausting is. But I think, is it seen, sounds stupid, but is it seen as a nice little job for housewives to have, 9 till 3, don't have to worry about money, your husband will sort that for you. Is it because it's seen like that? And is that why a TA's wage is even less? Because a TA is seen as like, oh, just a mum looking to pass some time while the kid's at school. Like, is it because of that? Like, there's that stigma that then it becomes like, you're greedy if you want more money. You're lazy if you want more money. You don't do this, you don't do that because you've picked an easy profession. Do you reckon it's part of that as
Could
well?
be. Like, you know, I've had people say to me, I've had a really close friend at one point say, I don't know what you're moaning about extra money. You just colour in all day. Because I teach reception. How dare you? Like, the skill to teach a child how to read is so detailed. And like, I know it inside out now. Maths, early maths, knowing the inside out of number, behaviour, getting child to emotionally regulate themselves, which is part of what I do in early years as well. There's so much that goes into it. And imagine it's not 9 to 3. Even on my good work-life balance, I was always in at like 7:30, 7:45.
Yeah.
And I left at 4:30. That's still like a long working day. And then maybe in the evening I might do an hour of not typing, but like that's my idea of work. This, that, and the other. But I can see why some people from the outside you're thinking of your memories of being at school.
Yeah.
And what you've seen it as. But they like when I see teaching assistants who are staying until 4:30, 5 o'clock, and they only get paid until 3:30 because they're trying to get extra, sticking in and books done and make sure that display's all right, because that's where they'll get pulled up on it.
Yeah.
And at my last school, I don't know if I said this in a previous episode, after we got good at Ofsted in early years, one of the board of governors was like, what can we do to help? I was like, pay my TAs to 4 o'clock. And they found the money from somewhere and they got paid to 4. But that meant like, I felt like we gave them a lot of, I value you.
Yeah, I think stuff like that goes a long way. And I don't think teachers have a voice in a school, but TAs definitely don't.
No.
And I think with all that thing, it's all together that stigma where it is that like, it's a vocation. It's not a job. It's a vocation. It's something you've always dreamt about doing. Oh, you're lucky to do it. Don't you complain. You've done this for the kids. You should be doing the best for the kids. You should do longer hours. You should buy stuff from your own wallet. Like, to me, it's all that. And I think schools are stuck in a very weird place, especially primary schools. Mm-hmm. Like, they're stuck in a weird place where it's not seen as a job from the outside world, which is mad. Like, it's only seen by a job in the outside world from someone who's got a friend or family member who is a teacher.
Yeah.
And only then, it's only when you talk about like the harsh truths of it. Mm-hmm. Do you know? And to me, I think that's the big one. Other people see that you've got 6 weeks off. Do you know? It doesn't get talked about that teachers don't get paid for those 6 weeks. They get paid during it, but they don't get paid for those 6 weeks. Teachers get the same holidays that everyone else gets paid, and then they don't get paid for the rest of it. Anyone else, if they agreed it with their work, could have the same life as a teacher by saying, if you went in and went, listen, I need these holidays off because there's no one to mind my child, I will take non-paid leave. If you're happy with it, I'll have those terms non-paid, but can you spread my wage out throughout the whole year? That's all a teacher's is.
Yeah.
But there's that jealousy of it seen there. There's that thing about teaching isn't a proper job. Everyone's got an opinion on it. Everyone's been in the classroom. Everyone's done this. And to me, it's time for all those outside voices
to
just go. It's time for them outside voices to just go, be ignored, stop. Like, I think there should be those talks about chatting with local people, but like going on things. But I don't think it helps when you go on the news channels. You're talking to the wider audience. Mm-hmm. But realistically, there's only two people that need to be involved in it. The government and the teachers with their union, obviously. Mm-hmm. That's it. And the only thing that the union should really be doing, and anyone who wants to talk about teaching, should be talking to the government and then talking to the teachers. Why don't unions do podcasts? Why don't unions do podcasts?
They not? I didn't even realise that.
I don't know.
If you're in a union, get in contact, come on in.
I don't mean that. I mean, why isn't there a big union podcast for teachers where the union actually sit down and tell you the rights?
Yeah.
And then they can clip it up and go on social media. The only time I see stuff from unions is when there's a debate about pay rise. Mm-hmm. And most of the time then, it's a little graphic which says, remember to vote, or this is what, like, you very rarely see videos. If you do, they don't really go far. And we know that they would, because I see so many videos from teachers where they'll talk. The only reason I know about this 4% one is because I've seen about 6 videos on social media, people explaining it. Do you know what I mean? And then obviously from that, I've looked at other things. Unions should be constantly talking about teachers' rights, talking about teachers' hours, and rather than pitching to the rest of the world, just focusing on teachers and just saying, this is what you should accept. This is how much money the government have wasted on other things. This is how much we're asking the government for. This is what the government have given us. This is how much the government have cut. This is how much they promised us. And putting it back in.
Yeah.
Do you know, because that's the big thing with it all. There needs to be more conversation. There needs to be more talk. And teachers need to understand more. Forget the support of the parents. Forget the support of the outside world. Forget the support of anyone else. Just go to bat for teachers. Do it best for your family. Because why should you miss out? Because you're worried that the parents are going to be upset in your school. Why should you miss out because the government haven't got an extra 1%? Another what? 100 million to spend on defence.
Yeah. Isn't it disgusting when they're just like, find it from somewhere.
Yeah.
Find that money from somewhere. But of course, the budgets have already been set.
Yeah.
So there's no money to find. There's nothing to find. There's walls crumbling down, which just reminded me years ago, we were having people come visit the school. My head teacher said, my wall was crumbling with damp. Dan, you wouldn't mind covering that up with something? I went, what am I going to cover that with? It was bigger than your clock that's in here. It was like massive. I'm watching it on video.
It's a big clock.
It's a big clock. And I got my TA. I was like, let's just go overboard. And we sellotaped some sheets of A3 together. Oh, yeah, A3, yeah. And cut a massive circle out, painted an luminous yellow smiley face, and stuck it in the corner.
Do you know what's
luminous yellow smiley face? And she came in and she was like, "What's that?" You told me to cover the hole, and I did.
Do you know what's funny though? Like again, I would have done that. I would have been like, "Yeah, okay." Okay. Now, if I went back into the classroom, I'd be like, no. I want them to see it. Like, I want who was it coming around? Parents, governors, who was it?
I think there was like other schools coming around, and I said, well, I don't know DIY. I don't have the tools. I don't have paint. But I that was me being a little smart arse that had the big smiley face in the corner, luminous yellow. And she was like, that is not what I meant. Well, that's what we could cobble together.
Like, let them see it. Why?
Let them in.
Let everyone see it. When they come for parents' evening, let them see the big stain. Imagine that. What's that? That's the damp and mold that's in your kid's classroom.
Oh my goodness, my friend. So in the classroom next door to mine, oh my goodness, I've just remembered this. She had a leak in her storeroom. So there was a bucket on top of a ladder catching all the water, but everything else had been like sort of ruined. It was stunk of damp. It was absolutely vile. And then like there was damp going all around the walls of the classroom. And we'd like, if you left anything on the side, it'd be absolutely soaked. And the smell in the room, it was vile of damp. And I said to her one day, I think you're going to get ill in here. But if you walked into her, she had to remember to empty the bucket.
Would she every day?
On top of everything else. Teach your maths. Just a second, everybody. Right, write this down on your whiteboard. Off you go. Just get my bucket. I would have a child trained to climb that ladder. Up you go.
Little 4-year-old.
You're assigning jobs. You're the milk monitor. You're the cloakroom monitor. And you are the empty the bucket monitor. Up you go, Dolores. I'm scared of heights. Up you go. But that is just crazy. And like the whole time I was in that school, then that smiley face stuck up there. Until I left.
It's because he didn't fix the crumbling walls.
No, they didn't fix the crumbling walls. And like the Key Stage 2 side of the school got knocked down and rebuilt.
Yeah.
But that side stayed the same. And the room was octagonal. You couldn't do anything with it. You didn't have corners really to put things in. And it was, oh my God.
Just saying that, you just remind me, there was a school in Liverpool. The head, from what I've heard, she was a ruthless head anyway, which they didn't like working under. But she was obsessed with like grand designs. So she basically spent most of their school budget on building in the juniors playground. She built a mini world theatre, the Shakespeare,
oh yeah,
the Globe Theatre. she built one of them. And they had it in all the papers and everything about, revolution. And she had all these ideas for it and she'd pitched it all. And a week later, the council said, you did not ask for planning permission for that.
Oh no.
Take it down. And
what was it made out of?
Wood. Like it was a fully built. No, meant to be permanent structure. And the council were like, get that down. And so she had to take it all down and she went off. I think she went off sick, straight after it and never come back. But she spent this school's entire budget on a giant theatre. Because she wanted to put Shakespearean plays on for the kids.
Please.
Every playtime.
Who's performing those?
The kids and the teacher. But yeah.
Imagine being the staff member when it was your turn to go, your turn to perform, Denise. Off you go. I don't know any. I don't know Shakespeare.
Yeah. But now, as I say, I think we've talked a lot on this one, but the big one is just stop being martyrs, everyone.
Stop it. I've done it before. Stop it.
I think we all have, and everyone's done it.
Mm-hmm.
But there's a time and a place, and I think them 10 years when they didn't give a pay rise because they said, we need to help the economy out, but we promise we'll sort this when it's done. It was done, and they went, there's another problem now. Could you not have another pay rise? Do you know, when we started teaching, I think it was about 21 grand.
Yep.
And it went to 30 grand. And now they start on 30 and it goes to 40 something.
Yeah. If you're UPS.
Yeah. But in that time, all the jobs have gone from because teaching was a really good starting wage.
Mm-hmm.
It was a really good starting wage, but didn't really grow that much.
Mm-hmm.
Other jobs now are starting at 30, 40, and the sky's
and
the
you get
limit
bonuses
with it.
And things.
Yeah, you get the bonuses, you get everything like that. But I know jobs which were comparable to teaching have now got a 20 grand jump on them. Do you know what I mean? And it's there's a time and place when teachers have got to say, no, it's great. It's great job in the sense of you're helping shape young minds.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just a job. It's just a job. And you shouldn't be guilted into keeping someone else's job to get your worth.
Mm-hmm.
And it shouldn't even be a question with it. TAs should get more wages.
100%. Teachers
should get more wages. Schools should be fully funded. And governments can do it all. Everyone needs to realise that it's all just a game. And you just have to stand firm with it and say, no. And whenever they say, well, it means this, just be like, no.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that because we won't accept that either. We want this because teaching is a vital part of the world. Teaching is a vital part of this country. And it's a thing, if you took it all away, everything would crumble. And it's that thing of you need to start standing up for your worth because governments and everyone else is great at loopholes. We were talking before about pensions. Look at the pensions for women. Women retired at 60, I think it was. I might get the numbers wrong, but women retired at 60 and men retired at 65, I think, or 66. Everyone said, that's unfair. And governments went, you're right. Women can retire at 65 now as well. When there was car insurance, lads' car insurance when they first passed was double the price of girls.
Mm-hmm.
And everyone said, that's not fair. And the insurance company said, you're right. We'll put the girls up with the lads. They always find their loopholes for the stuff that works for them.
Yeah.
And they always want to pit you against each other. Your wage and whether you get a pay rise does not affect how many TAs you can have in the school.
Mm-hmm.
Your pay rise does not affect a school's budget. It does when you allow it to. And that's what teachers and unions are allowing right now by having that. Oh, I don't need a pay rise, just as long as the school's fully funded. No, you can have it all. You're just being manipulated right now.
I fully agree.
It sounds like I've got like a tinfoil hat
Oh,
on and going for it.
I love it. Absolutely.
That's the thing. It should be like, no, and unions, I think, should do a better job of showing how much they're spending in other areas, showing how quickly MPs get their pay rise, showing when they figure it out. They've got an independent panel that figure theirs out. They've also got one that figure the teachers out, but that always conveniently meets at times when inflation's not that high. Didn't hear that inflated coming out when it was like, 11% the teachers should be getting. But the minute inflation dropped to 2, it was like, teachers should actually get 2, Do you know? And it's all that for me. Like,
it is such a game.
Unions need to talk more. Unions need to explain things more. And teachers need to start having their worth and realizing that they need to put themselves first and actually take everything else off the table with this. It does not matter what they say. Just say, no, we want this. We want this. We want it fully funded. We want our worth with the pay. And that's all we're ever going to accept. And start thinking about creative ways to strike. That's what unions should be doing.
Because they 100% deserve it. It's been going on way too long. And that's why people are like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Yeah.
I don't want to do this job. And you'll never get the retention or the numbers up if it continues this way. If anything, it's going to get worse.
Well, I think I was on a podcast like we spoke about before. I was on a podcast where I worked out the teachers coming in versus the teachers leaving. If it carries on at that rate for the next 10 years, there's no teachers left.
Oh my goodness.
like it's something like, I think it's 5,000-6,000 teachers a year aren't being replaced. So if you carried that on, like it's only like there's only 500,000 teachers.
That
Do you know
is
what I mean?
Crazy. It needs to start now.
Yeah, it does. So vote no unless it's fully funded, but don't even bother about the fully funded. Just take it that it's going to be fully funded.
Yeah.
And just carry on striking until you need to.
Because if nothing changes,
then nothing
changes. And there'll be nobody left.
That's it. Right. Good place for us to wrap that episode up. Hopefully everyone's feeling fired up.
I hope so. Like Martin.
When it comes to pay, I'm big on it. Right. Bye now, everyone.
Bye. See you later.